Hi,
Now it's
Carly.
recording.
We're recording, guys. We're gonna start
Yeah.
streaming. 3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
What's up, guys?
Yo.
3, 2, 1. I Carly.
Oh my god. 3, 2.
I know.
He ends
You
at 2 though.
see,
And immediately off tangent.
Be so wonderful.
Nice.
Okay, go. You start. You start.
Hey guys. Welcome back to Special Interest Podcast. Let me up my volume a little. I keep
You blanking?
I do blank a lot. So today's episode is gonna be like focused on quite a bit of like stuff revolving around like the whole concept of like the American dream and everything,
Concept of life.
and like yeah, just kind of where society pushes us all to want to be, and also we're gonna have some more current events sprinkled in.
Sprinkled in.
Yeah, a little.
Some gayness right there.
But yeah, we have our friend here with us
On the
but
sidetrack.
that's why that's just to explain the extra chair why it's just here.
Yeah, it's
but
not for ghosts, okay? We don't
in case she
imagine
wants to come
people.
on, we have this here, but not for now. Alright, so did you want to start since you were the one that
suggested this
yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah. No, it was just to like we can just start off by like what like the American dream is, how it's like based on like having a family, having the
Yeah.
perfect golden retriever dog, your parents both went to
Nuclear
college
family.
and have like a teacher and a doctor type of shit.
Mm-hmm. Very like traditional kind of like
yeah.
like even within like the whole idea of like going to college and whatever, there's a fuck ton of programs in college, but
Mhm.
like being encouraged to specifically go for like the safe shit in terms of like,
Career
a desk
wise?
job. Yeah, exactly, like going for
Yeah.
for business, communications, like medical stuff, lawyers, like anything that's safe, like that's
Yeah.
what's encouraged, and everything else is kind of just like, or like anything that's like a long-standing type of job, I should say, because there's other jobs that are probably
facts.
more safe than that, and
But also
some
it's
of
less
those
competitive because as soon as you graduate, you get a job right away. Like teachers, they're guaranteed a job. Doctors too. You graduate and there's so much
Yeah.
in need. They don't have to stress about it.
in terms of getting a job, yeah, but it's crazy because a lot of especially when it comes to government workers, less so when it's something like a lawyer or someone who's a business major or whatever. With those like typically like traditional like safe jobs like teacher, like you said, like any kind of government worker, doctor, nurse, whatever, like
Facts.
I find like a lot of those jobs are gonna end up being replaced by like AI and shit very soon.
By what do you mean AI? Robots?
Yeah.
Oh.
And not only that, but like it's just like pay wise and everything, like I feel like they're underappreciated and stuff.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
especially this is more of
Yeah.
like just a product of where we live. But
What do you mean, like North America?
No, in Quebec. I'm talking
Oh.
about Quebec specifically because Quebec treats their government workers like some
Some
of the
shit.
worst in like the entire
Yeah,
country.
the salary's crap. Yeah.
The salary's crap. There's literally more of a demand, so there's no reason for them to keep it crap. And
Facts.
like it's just a lot more difficult to get in because like in Quebec it's a lot more strict for immigrants who even have their like doctorate or whatever, their nursing license or something. They need to redo it in Quebec.
Yeah,
Or
that's
like
true.
redo at least like a few years of it, but like that's grueling schooling that you already went through for like 10-15 years of your life, especially if you're getting a doctorate, right? Like you only get that when you're like 30, like at earliest.
Oh yeah, that's it's really
yeah,
that's
it takes a long time, so like no one's gonna want to redo that. And it's crazy because we have such a shortage of like teachers and medical professionals because of that. That's more of a Quebec specific
big
thing.
brains.
But yeah, I definitely feel like teaching especially is just something that's gonna be like they're gonna do like online school done by like an AI test or whatever that just like remakes it
That's kind of
according to the
creepy.
student.
I feel like that's gonna be for some things. I feel like
Well, yeah,
primary and high
not
school are still gonna be
entirely.
teachers.
Well, yeah, you still need the human interaction, of
Yeah.
course, but what I'm saying like is for
Eventually.
like college and stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be classes. For
Because
example,
most like college professors aren't even like good professors. They're just good in their field.
facts. And I feel like a lot of it is like read and memorize. So I feel like those classes you can just get a freaking robot to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Open to page
And it's funny
64.
because we're talking about the American dream here, and what relates to that is like the opposition towards like following a career path that's more artistic or new. And I made a couple points on that, specifically talking about like one streamer actually, but I mean this applies to like easily to like anyone in an artistic career and like a lot of
Mm.
people when it comes to newer careers, like when the in the 90s or whatever, you know, like being like studying software engineering was a risky thing, but now that's one of the most in demand jobs and one of
Yeah.
the most well paid jobs, right? Like we need coders. We
Yeah,
need
that's
more
true.
coders now more than ever. um and it's just interesting how um even when it comes to like jobs that are like on a good trajectory in the same way that like software engineering was in the 90s, like I'll bring up the example here in a minute, but like with something like music or whatever, or like esports even, like here's the example I had the streamer Atrioc, which um he didn't like follow like what you would assume as like the traditional like esports career path, which you would assume is just being like a player, right? Like grind out your game and like just like get good at it until you make money. But like that is the more risky part of it, right? Like it's like being an athlete. That's always going to be a risky job because there could only
Facts.
be 100 top 100 players.
But also the competition's a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There could
Worse.
only be 100 top 100 athletes or players.
The demand also like super. In one team, there's 30 players. You know, let's say
Yeah.
soccer. You know.
Yeah, exactly. So what was I gonna say about that? Oh yeah, Atrioc. So he's an interesting case because he was the type of kid who was like grinding every day. At least he describes like in college he talks about skipping class all day to just play League of Legends till 5 a.m. and StarCraft and whatever. Those are two of the biggest esports games. And what he ended up like doing is he had like a falling out with his family, where uh like especially his dad was like just being really unsupportive about everything. Oh god, this is lagging so much.
No, it's not.
No,
Oh, now it
the
is.
camera was but it's okay. We'll just deal with it. It
It's
doesn't
cool.
matter to podcast. um but yeah, like his dad was very unsupportive of it initially, and like you know, he was just seeing the part of it initially that was like, you know, his son's just staying in his room all day doing nothing. But eventually like they had like that falling out, and Atrioc ended up moving out, and he like moved to Korea for a bit and stuff, and like tried to learn Korean so that he could get more into like the community of StarCraft, because StarCraft dominated by like the Korean players and always has been. And so like there weren't many like English interviews or whatever with a lot of the top players, because you know they weren't able to ask for an interview, you know, like they can't even say hi or whatever in Korean. So what are they gonna do? They just like didn't really have much opportunity to interview. So he was just some random guy who liked the game a lot and went to all the tournaments to watch them, and he just, you know, had a camera and stuff and picked up enough Korean to be able to like start the conversation and get a translator somewhere.
That's insane.
So that he could actually like do an interview, and he was doing a lot of like interviews with like the best players out there, even though he was a nobody, because like he was able to like like accommodate to them on a personal level. Like they saw the respect in him trying to learn that bit of Korean for them, right? Like that's like an easy thing to be like, oh, this isn't just like some fucking random journalist.
Yeah.
This is
He's
someone
trying to
who
communicate
cares.
with us.
Yeah, this is someone who cares about us as players and like our story, and he wants to know about it.
That's cool.
Which is very cool because being able to get those interviews and stuff for him eventually landed him a job at like marketing for Twitch.
Oh, really?
So he was one of the original like Twitch employees. Well, not like the first original, but he was one of the first right?
years, yeah.
And like it's just like really interesting to see like how he was able to like find little opportunities from himself, like out of like little like parts, like just little things that just like weren't being done enough, right? Like like I said, there weren't enough English interviews with these great players. So he took it upon himself to do it, even though he had no production or whatever. It was just probably off his fucking iPhone, and then a little like the one of these like mics that are like $80, and like it's interesting because like stuff like that is what like truly like, because he did a stream with his dad later, like his dad said like stuff like that was able to like show him that he actually wanted to put effort into it, and it's not just like he was obsessed with a video game. It was like this was his passion.
Yeah.
And yeah, I find like a lot of parents like just get scared of
the risk
if it's an obsession or a passion, right? I find that like
I feel like they're scared that their kid's gonna fail too.
Yeah, of course, that's why. But
they don't see the potential in the kid.
But my point in saying that is most parents are gonna believe in you. At least most good parents are gonna believe in you when you prove true passion for something, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're, it's like a different thing to like to just play guitar to yourself, never write or whatever, and then versus actually like going to local shows, meeting other bands and stuff, whatever, attempting to go to school for it, even though like that music school isn't good. Like it's
no cap.
People like you meet people at least, which like I'm glad for that for our first semester there, because like there's some people from Vanier I still talk to, but I mean besides you guys is what I'm saying, because that's obvious.
Period.
But what was I going with that? But like yeah, that like versus just like only doing like the part of the thing you're like super obsessed with. Like I'm trying to clear up the distinction between obsession and passion, but I keep using the words. But like
I feel like obsession will be cleared by another obsession after, and a passion never goes away.
Exactly.
Oh,
that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to
put it.
Because yeah, I could personally think about this because I love collecting things. I always go through phases of collecting things in like kind of like a hyper focus kind of way. Never did rocks.
What? I would like go collect gray rocks.
Like those amiibo figures back there. I have like 30 of them. I have a bunch of Beyblades. Like 40 Beyblades.
Oh my god, I love
I have a bunch of Pokemon cards. Like there was always like a phase throughout like my childhood or teenagehood.
Well, now you have a million different consoles.
Yeah, exactly. Now I like to collect like.
But how do you how do you differentiate obsession and hyper focus? Or is it the same thing, just different word?
Well, yeah, because hyper focus is just kind of how people with ADHD or.
But what if you're like hyper focusing on wanting more consoles and stuff?
That's
so it's kind of like obsession too.
It is. It's just how people with ADHD obsess over
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So it is an obsession, a hyper focus.
Slay queen.
But yeah, like to me, like I've always liked collecting certain things. But like that's not what really could make me happy. Like within those things, like the the obsessions that like last forever, I guess you could call a passion, like you said. Similarly to what you said, because like yeah, I collect video games, but like what about like the video games like make me passionate? Like it's like
Legends.
the stories,
forgot
yeah,
the
the
name.
fantasy or whatever. What do you mean legends?
I forgot the one you were playing. You told me like you talked 3 hours
Final
about it. Final
Fantasy.
Fantasy.
Final Fantasy 14. That game specific, it's an exception because it's an MMO, and MMOs are inherently very social games. So like a lot of the reason I play that so much is because it's so much easier to like feel like you're in a world when like
Mhm.
you're in the world with other people, because that's how the
Oh.
real world is, right?
Yeah.
Like a single player game, you get more involved in it like a movie,
Oh yeah,
where
yeah,
you're
I
like
get
a
it.
spectator.
Yeah.
But in an MMO, like you're your character, you're actually developing relationships with these people and whatever. You could literally get married in the game.
Yeah. Okay, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah, and your characters like will be like married, like
That's
you have
funny.
to like, I don't know if there's a divorce in the game, but like I'm pretty sure you have to stay married.
Oh shit.
Like it's an actual commitment and everything, and like you get like a dress and everything for it, like that you're able to walk around in. And it's like games like that, it's like it's almost like a more video gamey equivalent to like a metaverse, I guess you could say, in more like common terms. I'm trying to like look at this in a way where
If
the
it's
mic
off.
isn't. No, it's fine.
Oh, we didn't put it, but I just thought of it like the entire like concept of the traditional American dream, and then when it comes to like the LGBTQ community, how when society
excluded.
views, yeah, exactly, society views as the perfect family, even in movies and series, there's rarely like LGBTQ figures, and I feel like it
Yeah,
can
it's
be
only
very
recently.
hard to see that. Yeah, exactly. It's only recent.
It's only recently that like that movies and shows will like actually accommodate towards that. But at the same time, like 90% of them do it so ingenuinely, it just feels like they're just doing it so that we'd watch or whatever, or to
Yeah.
appease us or whatever, to
Yeah.
stop us from complaining and be like, oh my god, they're so woke.
They're
just
so
spilled
woke.
I just
spelled your
spilled vape- I
juices.
spilled vape juice on myself.
No. Hair oil.
um but yeah, you're right, like
I feel like there's an extra. I feel that also doesn't push the LGBTQ community to be comfortable in
their
who
own
they
shoes,
are. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I find that
And it
too.
definitely pushes homophobia more. In a way. The whole concept of
I mean,
the
yeah,
perfect
on a
American
general level,
dream.
like it does promote it in a sense,
Yeah.
but it's not like the biggest thing
Oh,
in
no,
society that's
no.
promoting that.
No, definitely not.
Because at the same time, like a lot of people realize, like, as far as the actual like structure in the family in terms of like mom, dad, son, daughter, it has to be four, and they have to be
the son needs to be older
yeah,
than the
yeah,
daughter.
exactly. That is more like much more old school, and like has been kind of broken off for a while, because like there's a lot more people that want like one kid or whatever, and there's a lot more divorce even before like LGBTQ has been
definitely.
accepted more. Divorce has been accepted more prior to that, right? So like yeah, it definitely is changing when it comes to like that kind of structure, but like the whole like idea of it is still kind of stuck in people's heads, even when it comes to a lot of people who are LGBT or whatever. I'm trying to adjust this.
Struggles.
Yeah, no, this won't go.
Yeah, that's fine.
because uh, like they still try to fit those exact kind of standards and kind of like roles in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
even if like let's say there's like two gay dads and they adopted a kid or whatever, they'll like a lot of times like they'll feel like one of them has to be like more of the
The
mom
mom
dad
model, I forgot
mom role
role.
model, yeah,
Yeah.
as a maternal role model and a paternal role
Yeah.
model, which like
But in a way, I feel.
it like you do need like a kind of those kind of models, but the way I mean that is not like one person has to be the mom and you
Yeah.
can be
They can be
both in
both. Yeah.
one. Exactly. It's because
One needs to.
what does a paternal role model mean? That is someone who will be more realistic to you,
Yeah.
who will, like
They're kind of more strict usually when you
yeah,
think of a
less
dad, right?
sugarcoating when it comes
Yeah.
to stuff. But at the same
This is
time,
the structure.
you could act like that sometimes and then act maternally some other times and
Facts.
be a lot more supportive
Facts.
and sensitive when it like is the right time to be, because all that takes is just someone who's mature enough to like understand how to think from both
That's
perspectives,
true.
because like like when it comes to like something tangible and like physical like job or something, uh you can be like more paternal when it comes to like hey like I understand like this is like the one thing you want to do, but like you're really struggling at it, so try to take this stepping stone or whatever, like take this smaller job to like work your way
Yeah.
up there. That's like more realistic like paternal thinking in this kind of role model sense.
Okay.
But like when it comes to like a relationship issue, there's really no reason to be insensitive about it, right? Like especially with your own kid, you just kind of have to assume that they're telling you the truth all the time,
Yeah.
and like uh you just have to be supportive about it. So in my mind, like it's not something that like is exclusive. You have to go to one parent for sensitivity and the other
Facts.
parent for realism. You should like,
Feel
I mean,
comfortable
it
with
takes a
both.
lot of maturity from the parents, but they can both be both. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because
I
it's
forgot
more
what I was
about
gonna
like
say.
those qualities are required to raise a child rather than like any inherent male or female qualities are really required, because those are just like perspectives more
Yeah.
than anything. Like
Facts.
it's a perspective on issue, and anyone could have multiple perspectives if you think hard enough about it, right? And you should be putting that kind of mental effort into your child, like it's your fucking
Yeah.
child.
Facts, bro. You chose a child. You deal with it.
Yeah,
Give it food.
exactly. Like then that's lagging a lot now. It distracts me so much.
Yeah. No. No. No.
Oh my god.
How do you fix it?
Okay, wait, let me
Try to
try.
fix it. I'm gonna entertain people. What's up, guys? My name's Jesus. Sing boom 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 boom.
Okay, so it's just weird on this. I don't know why.
Could it be the Wi-Fi's lagging?
I have no idea.
Does that mean that the audio is out of sync?
Of course it does.
Oh, bro, I don't know.
The video's out of sync. The audio will
It's
be
still
too.
out of sync.
Yeah, I know. I think I need to like unplug it and replug it and shit. I'm not gonna do that.
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
Well,
It'll just lag, but it's a podcast.
it'll probably come back.
But yeah.
I was gonna say, you know how you mentioned the fact that like you should believe your child. I feel like if you're good parents that like raise your kid to feel comfortable to come to you, you don't feel the need to lie. Right? So I feel like when you're raised more with a strict household and where you have to
it
hide
teaches
more.
them to lie.
Yeah, exactly. We lie more, and then like the ones that are like the parents are very open and comforting about things, it encourages the kid to just come to them.
Yeah, I was a funny exception from that rule, because my parents were very supportive, even though like my dad had a lot more like um
Judgment?
I
Opinion.
wouldn't say judgment. I'd say like just like general strictness from the way like he kind of felt like he needed to raise us because like I mean
Mm.
just any immigrant Italian
Yeah.
family is gonna be like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And he kind of like felt the need to fill that paternal role
Mm-hmm.
in an excessive way than he like really was. Um, which like he obviously toned down on that over time, but my point in saying that is like even though they weren't crazy parents whatsoever, even if he was a stricter one, like he wasn't like grounding me for things that were unjust or whatever. Like he wasn't like doing things that like just were stupid. Like he did like everything from like a good point of view. It's just it wasn't the type of things that worked for a kid with anxiety, right? And you didn't know I had anxiety,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what the fuck was he supposed to do at the
Yeah,
time?
that's fair.
And like yeah, like it's not like his parents ever taught him what anxiety
Yeah.
was. They were from Italy. Um, to them it was probably made up.
What? That's normal. What are you talking about? What is this?
But yeah, like so
You're sad.
even
Go work.
yeah, go work, make money, then you won't be sad.
Go outside. Take a run.
um, my point in saying that I keep on tripping up on my words. My point in saying that is because like I still like took it in a wrong way. I ended up like lying to my parents a lot as a kid when it came, but like to protect them in a sense. Like it was like just like I knew like when I knew like I was like feeling like shit, I would just lie to them and like say I
Yeah.
had a
Okay.
great
Yeah,
day.
yeah, 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 yeah. I get that.
Yeah, and so like that's the type of thing you like pick up on if you have stricter parents, but even though I didn't, I just did because of anxiety.
Good
So
point.
yeah, like that's just interesting that that could happen regardless.
Then you wrote hobbies, bucket list must be sacrificed. I get it. Do you mean like it must be sacrificed for the child and your career
Yeah,
in
we're
the
talking
normal
so
American dream thing?
let me talk about like
Yeah.
this topic real quick. So we were talking about like the fact that like the end goal in life is like to just have kids and take care of your kids. And that's not really
Work
like
40
conducive.
years
Yeah,
and
that's not
die.
that's not like really conducive to the life that everyone really wants to live. And like yeah, that's also something that's being more like more accepted by our own generation than anything, but still like not enough as a whole because like there's more people who like wait to have kids so they could
Yeah.
travel for a bit first or whatever. And
And also more and more people are taking breaks off of college to travel.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean like your 20s are the time to do it, right? Like might
Yeah,
as
you're gonna be
well.
tired after.
Yeah, exactly. Like you just like like everyone knows like when you age like past 30 or 25 and up, I think is when it starts. So that's when you
Yeah.
start like losing energy year by year, even if it's whatever amount of marginal by 30, it's still
Yeah.
an amount.
Exactly.
So it's nice to be able to do the shit you want like when you want it, and then like plan having kids around that if you want kids.
I feel like a lot of people settle with this is okay and I can live with that. And I feel
Yeah,
like
definitely.
most people like would work a better job and a job that they prefer or get a better promotion, but they just don't want to. They're like, this is okay.
Video's gonna cut out.
This is okay and I'm gonna oh it's okay. Oh, it worked.
Oh, there we go.
This is okay and this salary's okay and my life is okay. So why should I
Can't
complain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like I have a rooftop, I have food. Yeah, that's good, but also if
You need to satisfy.
You need to satisfy you
Yeah.
and not just you have one life, right? Don't just settle for
Yeah,
okay.
I forget who made it. The hierarchy of needs. Have you ever seen that?
Mm-mm.
So it's like physiological needs, right? So that's
Hierarchy of
food,
needs. Oh,
water.
yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah, food, water.
I
You
learned it
know,
in finances.
then like more
Here it
physical needs. So like clothes and shelter
safety
and whatever.
too,
Yeah, safety needs.
belonging
Exactly.
and love,
Oh,
esteem, cognitive
wait,
needs.
let me just look through all these because like,
'Cause
well,
maybe.
explain them more in depth because like they're kind of vague. So physiological needs, food, water, a place to sleep, safety needs, a roof over your head,
Mhm.
right? Like clothes so you could stay warm and whatever. Um, belonging and love, that's like basic family or
Yeah, love from people.
or friends or whatever. Esteem needs, so I mean that's
Self-esteem.
self-confidence.
Yeah.
Cognitive needs, that's like self-help, going to therapy, whatever.
Oh yeah. Wait,
Es-
wait. Therapy's at what level?
right above self-esteem.
So 4? No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's pretty high up there. I think everyone should be going to therapy.
Yeah, it's
Look
true.
at our society.
So, and then afterwards it's aesthetic needs, which I
Does
guess
that
is
mean
just
like
feeling like pretty.
your clothes? Your clothes?
It can be. I think it's a very vague way they're saying this,
Yeah.
because like that could just be like if you're happy the way you look or whatever. But that kind of plays into esteem in my mind. But whatever. The last two are kind of impossible. There's self-actualization,
What's that?
which is completely accepting everything about your life.
I feel like some people do though. Like
Like,
for example, Buddhists.
yeah, exactly.
Monks,
No,
they
monks
get to a point where
monks,
they're so at
yeah.
peace.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's basically impossible. And then the last one's transcendence. I do not
So
know what that
Buddha.
means.
It's Buddha.
Yeah.
You transcend into this fat figure in peace.
Yeah, exactly. That's just more like spiritual stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, like that hierarchy of needs, like you can't just stop when you reached one tier. You have to try to go for the next tier.
Yeah,
right?
definitely. I feel like
You
a
don't
lot of people just stop.
Just because you can survive on the bottom tier where you just have food and water doesn't mean you should live like that. That doesn't mean you should live on the second tier. That doesn't mean you should live on the third tier. You should go for the next tier at every point in your life.
Yeah, that's true. You should definitely keep going. And I feel like, especially, I feel like bucket lists, not everyone has one, but I feel like maybe, but not written down and stuff. But hobbies, I feel like a lot of, especially once you're a parent, like they kind of forget to put hobbies into their lives and things they enjoy.
Yeah.
For example, like my parents, like they do a lot of sports their entire lifetime, and even now, like they'll go out and play tennis, or like my mom is in a like basketball team, and my dad's soccer team. So it's like I feel like a lot of adults forget that like hobbies will help you be a better parent in a way, because you're not so stressed about work kids.
Yeah, exactly.
You're doing something you enjoy.
Yeah, exactly.
Except if you enjoy your job, but I feel like that's not a big percentage.
No, it's not a big percentage, and at the same time, life needs its variety. Like you can't just have your job as your only source of entertainment, even if it's a great job. Like my dad loves his job, but I still like, even though he's not a crazy workaholic, I still consider him a workaholic, because like he does like research his own stuff. Like he does like
he works outside of work hours. You mean
like
type of stuff?
Yeah, but like mostly on stuff like he's interested in. Like when we were downstairs, he was watching like BNN, which like he's interested in the markets and stuff, and he's an investor, so that's a good thing. But like even at that, like he still like tries to find time like to like do stuff outside or whatever. That's his hobby for him. So like he'll try to do that, or during the summer more so he'll like rollerblade or whatever. But at the same time, like he still like his life kind of revolves his job so much. Like I find it still a
Yeah.
little too much, like because he, like I find it still is a very different feeling, like being on the job and like researching stuff about the job, especially if you enjoy it like he does.
Mm-hmm.
Because like to me, like I would never be an investor, but I enjoy like that aspect about it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I talked to him like about like especially like the companies that just I personally get shit from, or like did you see what Nvidia was doing today, because I have an Nvidia graphics card, or like did you see like the tech demo they put out, like did that affect anything in like their projections or whatever. That type of stuff is interesting to me, but I'd never like go into an investing job. So I
Yeah.
definitely like get why he enjoys doing it like off work hours, but like it's just like
It can
like,
be
it's
too
so
much.
Yeah.
I feel like talking about workaholics in especially in Asia, like China and Japan,
They're
they
forced to be.
work an insane amount of hours. Their shifts are so freaking
Mhm.
long, it's ridiculous. And it's
12, 12. No, what is it? Yeah, 12, 12, 6.
what's 12, 12, 6?
You work from, no, is it 12, 12, 6?
But it even
Oh no, it's 6, 6, 6 or something like that. Or no,
6,
7, 7, 7. It's some number repeated
me-
3 times. I think it's 7.
in China or Asia?
China. I think it's, but I don't know if it was 6 or 7 work days.
It's 996.
Oh, 996.
9
okay.
a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. So
Yeah.
12-hour shifts.
12-hour shifts, 6 days a
6
week.
days a week. It's ridiculous. And even for example, like
And they have overtime that they're not paid for.
if I was gonna say that I went to Japan, and in Japan, kids that go to primary school and high school have school, I think 8 hours a day, and after school you should be in a second school, which is like extra classes. You end at like 9-10 p.m. all your schoolwork, and then you go and you do your homework. So they're up super early and they wake up super early to go to school.
Yeah.
It's insane. Even like children that are in primary school do that. And it's just like, how do they not get so burnt out?
Yeah, that's
And isn't the suicide rate pretty freaking high over there? No.
Yeah.
Compared to like other.
Yeah, exactly.
places.
In China specifically, like that's why there's been like such a movement like towards like people talk about like how many like 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 people just like end up gaming or on YouTube, like, and just staying at home doing nothing all the time. But it's an extreme problem in China because of how overworked they've been, and just how many kids feel like they have no future because like they have to do 996 for their entire lives, and they're like, I can't handle this shit, I'm just gonna play League of Legends all day.
Yeah, no, it's insane. It's insane. It said 10 people out of 100,000.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
that's one every
wait,
10,000.
let me see if we can compare it to Canada.
That's one every 10,000
Shit.
that actually go through with it. So that's a very different number from the actual like depression numbers, which are probably crazy.
Yeah.
And they probably don't even report it, right? So it's probably even more.
Oh shit, that's true. Well, like in Japan, there's like the suicide forest where all this shit happened with Logan
That's
Paul
crazy.
and stuff.
The suicide force is absolutely crazy. Yeah. What are you looking up again?
The suicide rate in Canada. Wait. Oh, actually, I think it's different. Here it says 11.3.
Out of
100,000 again. But wait, give me a sec. Okay, no. That was a while ago. And that's 23.2 in China.
Holy crap! So over double.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a culture that is like
Pretty
less accepting of mental illness. So like
Susie?
like as a cultural, like from a cultural perspective, suicide is much more like of a disgraceful thing to do.
Facts.
Versus like it used to have that kind of stigmatization when like when like the West was more religious, because in religion it's a sin to commit suicide.
Really?
Yeah,
Wonderful.
you go to hell. You go to hell if you
So
commit
you
suicide.
you're like,
You had a
done.
horrible
You're
life,
going to
and now
hell.
you go to hell.
No, what if you were like amazing and you commit suicide?
It's to guilt.
You go to hell.
It
Oh
was
my
made to
God.
guilt trip people
Yeah, I
into
mean
not
everything
committing
was a guilt
suicide.
trip.
Yeah,
people.
exactly.
Fair, yeah.
When it comes to like Christianity or whatever, those like OG religions for like the West, like um they were made to make order in society and like kind of give people like a reason to work or whatever,
That's insane.
which was needed at the time but not anymore, which is why it's just way down.
About the minimum wages, I was so it is insane how people don't realize, like, let's say you're a teenager that works minimum wage. Doesn't matter. The minimum wage is important for, let's say, families, and there's the parents that needs to work 2 3 jobs to just support his like their 1 or 2 kids, or even 3, whatever number of kids you have. And it's like the fluctuation is just, no, the inflation is getting so like high, and it's insane how people think that it's stupid to raise the minimum wage. It's really not. We need to raise it even more. It shouldn't be
Yeah.
I think it's 15 or 14
I
something
think it's
now.
15.50 in Canada.
Yeah.
But like that's the thing, like raising a singular kid in Canada on average up until they're 18 is $1 million.
Don't have kids.
Yeah,
Go on a trip. Go on a trip. $1 million. Get the fuck out.
on average.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
Google that.
in terms of like
I'm gonna
you have to
Google
get
it.
a bigger house, you have to
Oh,
buy
yeah.
more food, you might need a second car, because you know, if you're just a couple you could live off one car, right? Like
True.
you just need much more things.
Yeah, it's
much
it's
more-
about 15K a year. Let me just, and I feel like
15K
it's
a
more
year.
expensive when you're a baby. I don't think they
Yeah.
included that.
Well,
Yeah. It's definitely like around 500K or more.
yeah, exactly. Like, I
That's
mean,
only-
it's dependent. It's just because Canada also has a high cost of living.
Yeah.
And especially in like any kind of city, which most people in Canada are in Montreal, Vancouver, Toronto. No one lives in like the rural parts of Canada are like so much
Animals.
more rural than the rural parts of like America.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, there's so much more of Canada, and so much more of it
We have
is
a
like
lot
a
of nature too,
wasteland.
though.
We have a lot of nature, but it's not like we could have as many we could only have like farmers in like the
The
top,
south.
the bottom, yeah, in the south.
Yeah, if you look at the map, we're all on the edge, like crying because it's so cold.
Yeah, exactly. All the big cities are literally like so close to the border. Like Toronto, it's right.
I
next
live
to
40 minutes from the
Detroit.
border.
Yeah,
I could go
exactly.
get Chipotle if I want to.
Yeah, and Montreal is right next to, what is it, Pittsburgh or something?
Vermont.
Plattsburgh.
Vermont.
Yeah, Plattsburgh. I was
Yeah.
confusing it.
And New York too, New York State.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, no, the cost of living like definitely isn't really like accounted whatsoever with the minimum wage, which this kind of like goes into more like socialist kind of communist kind of talk. But that's one thing like I've always like been confused about, like why people
me
don't
up.
get the difference.
Oh, okay, I thought you didn't know about it, and I wanted to explain to you because I
No.
like politics.
No, because people act like communism and socialism are the same thing, but they're
It's
not.
really not.
Communism is what people typically think, and that's where it's like full blown, like all the money, like there's not really money, like it's just kind of everyone gets the same amount of stuff, and that's it.
It's
is-
equality, not equity.
Yeah.
Period.
So that's like super rife for corruption, because like people who are running the system are just gonna feel like they deserve more. So that's why the corruption happens in the first place, right? But like a true like socialist like ideology hasn't really been tried yet, in the sense where it's like it's kind of like Scandinavian or like like Canada, but like on steroids, in the sense that a lot of the stuff is just included in like in your taxes or whatever.
Yeah.
And like this is less so in Canada, but the one main thing is to just like squish, like you know how like there's a scale, like you could earn minimum wage and you could
Mhm.
earn like CEO
Yeah.
wage. Squish that down so there's still more motivation to have like harder or more
Mhm.
skilled jobs like doctors or something, but like some of their salaries are like skimmed off a little
Yeah.
to pay for the minimum wage so that the
Yeah.
minimum wage is a lot higher.
Oh.
So it's not very
So.
like communist in any way, but it, it is like like more what you said. It's more about like equity, like
Yeah.
it's adjusting for like the job you have, and like it still takes into account the fact that like humans want to feel like they deserve more if they're putting a lot of effort in. So like
Mm.
to get a doctorate is fucking hard. No one has ever denied that, right? Like
Especially
you
here.
should get paid more for that, in my opinion, at least, right?
Yeah.
uh, e- uh, but just don't make it, you know, like 10 times more. Make it like 2 times more
Yeah.
at most, or whatever, you know, like there still has to be that incentive there. It's just like it's more well distributed, the
That's a good
wealth in
point.
that case.
And with the Scandinavian countries.
Yeah, I was talking about that a little bit, but in I find like if you looked at like the World Happiness Report, and I saw a video about this about Finland specifically, because they're at the top of the World Happiness Report, and they have stuff like paid leave for anxiety or burnout at your job. They have 6-hour work days, 4-day work weeks.
Mm.
So
Some
rather
companies
than
do that.
yeah, exactly, but rather than like, you know, maximizing like the time you have employees, or like
Mhm.
how much work they like, because like when you're working for 10 hours, you're tired for half of that
Why
time,
would you be
and
working 10 hours? Too much.
you're barely like working at any kind of efficient rate. But if you're working only like 6 or 4 hours or something, you're gonna be like, I need to get my shit done.
Yeah, okay.
You know,
That's a good point.
it's more like, and it's been proven by them like over the years that they have a very efficient workforce because of that. Because they have, you know, if they're have a bad mental health day, or are feeling like burnt out, even in those 6 hours, they could ask for paid leave for that. And usually they're accommodated towards, because employers there realize, well, the government mostly, but like obviously there's a lot of employers that understand this now that it's been proven, but like they realize that that, you know, it's not like it almost like becomes like I'm trying to think of an analogy for this, because I was gonna say prison, but like not really. But it more
School?
but no, because school is
I
like
relate prison
working.
to school, so.
No, because uh, like you just like anytime, even if you like your job, if you get a fucking like overtime after your 8 hour
Yeah,
shift,
you
you have to
get
do,
burnt, man.
you have like you get burnt, or like you just feel like they're taking advantage of you or whatever, and it like kind of demonizes the
Yeah.
relationship between employer and employee, when in reality, in like a perfect world or whatever, like you know, they should have each other's interests in somewhat, like, you know, like
Mhm.
you should have an employer that's good enough to care about their employees, and because the
Facts.
employer cares about their employees, the employee cares about the employer.
Mm.
But that's the thing, either way it kind of starts at the employer, or the government
Well, yeah,
regulating the
because when you're
employer.
working minimum wage, you don't give a shit about.
Yeah,
Like, it doesn't matter.
exactly.
You're not paid enough to, like, care
And
about what's going
that's
on.
my point in that, because, you know, they'll have to pay you enough to care.
Yeah.
And like, and even if it is still like burning you out or whatever, you still have that option to get paid leave that day or whatever.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Also, paternal leave, I think Canada also has it, right?
I don't know if it has it yet, but like some companies definitely do,
Yeah.
and it's being much more of a common thing. But that's like it's part of law in Finland to
Oh.
give, I think, like a year and a half paternal leave. It's not just 9 months or whatever. So even like just
No,
whether
Canada doesn't.
yeah, as law they don't, but some companies do. That's what I
Yeah.
thought.
I mean, my mom's a teacher, and I remember one of her colleagues, that's a man, was left for paternal leave. So I feel like it depends on
Yeah,
each career too.
yeah, exactly. It's very dependent on where you work. So yeah, like that type of stuff, like lets you like it's just much more like personable and you you don't have to like sacrifice your job if you want to take care of your kid,
Yeah, facts.
because there's so many, like especially in the US, right? Because they're not as far down this as like Canada or obviously Finland, but like there's so many guys that probably like really want time off to raise their kid
Well,
at the
some
first few
are.
months. Like
Yeah.
it's so important
What
to have
about
the
gay
parents
couples
around.
or like only parents that are only men? I don't think they like if it's not a law.
Yeah, I have no idea how it works that way in that case. But yeah, exactly. Like in my opinion, it definitely should be both parents that get leave for this stuff because
Because it's very important for the baby to have physical contact
oh,
with
what
both.
the fuck?
Can they still hear us?
You can still hear us, yeah.
Oh my god, Marco, what are you doing? Did it just crash?
Yeah, just turned off.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay, now it works. Period. Okay, we're good. Also, the pressure on success, but also becomes a fear of failure. I feel like that already starts off with the pressure of your parents, but then it kind of gets in your head.
Yeah,
You know.
100%.
What was I gonna say before? Oh yeah, how. Also, I feel like the fear of failure, and like being able to like succeed also comes from, like, let's just say 100 years ago, buying a house wasn't that expensive. Now if you don't have a really good fucking salary, it's impossible to buy a house.
Yeah,
It's super
especially in
hard.
cities.
Yeah.
Canada is an extreme example of this because Canada, for the past 20 years, whatever, has been like a place that so many immigrants want to go. I mean, the US is always like
Yeah.
the biggest, right?
The American dream, right?
But like
What about the Canadian dream?
it's
Maybe we have maple syrup, guys.
not that far
Poutine.
off. It's not that. It's like
It's just a bit colder.
It's like with a sprinkle. It's just America with a sprinkle of
Yeah.
socialism. That's all Canada is.
It's with some respect and
But
less school shootings.
what we were
too.
what we were saying in there like before
I mean,
about
there's
how
school shootings.
Canada is so concentrated in its cities,
Yeah.
like people, it's an interesting thing because there's also like there's a lot of people that want to immigrate to these cities, right? Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal less so because of the political climate of Quebec. But
Faut que tu parles français.
yeah, and yeah, no, it's just a lot more difficult to immigrate to Quebec than it is other countries.
Also,
I mean, other provinces.
like back then, competition wasn't as hard as now. Like now,
There's more humans.
okay, yeah, whoa. No, but I mean, as in like,
There's literally
100
like double.
yeah, but I mean
humans.
like even like 100 years ago, if you want to be a musician and create new music, like you could create new music that was never done before. But now it's like as soon as you do something, there's definitely gonna be something that sounds like it. I don't know if you get what I mean. You want to start TikTok? There's millions of people doing TikTok.
Yeah,
You know?
but that in specific, because that's like more of an artistic thing, like your example at least with music, because like there's been a theory in music for hundreds of years that every piece of music has already been thought of by someone
I mean, yeah. That
Even
makes
if you
sense.
haven't heard it, right? Like, I mean, that just does make a lot of intuitive sense. We only have 12 notes in our normal scale,
Yeah.
so it's
Okay. Good point.
gonna happen eventually with how many. I think it's been like over the whole course of humanity, 100 billion people,
Yeah.
something like that,
Shit.
or like 50 billion or something.
That includes from Jesus or before Jesus.
Our whole history, so like 100,000 years ago
Like,
till
okay,
now,
fire people.
like cavemen.
Yeah, cavemen.
Fire
People.
people.
Yeah. They created fire, right?
Yeah. What was I gonna
That
say
makes
about
sense.
that? What were we saying before that?
Yeah. Music is copied.
No,
No.
before the music.
About how
oh,
it's
the competition.
Yeah, competition.
So, in Canada, like it's just such a concentrated country in terms of like our cities, and then adding to that, we have such a demand for immigration,
Yeah.
and then along with that, like there's a lot of like more wealthy people, let's say, that like live in a more authoritarian or worse country, like Russia or China, mostly China, because they have like a lot of like really like wealthy like governmental workers or whatever that just want to like kind of get out of the country or
Yeah.
something. This is an actual example because my old neighbor, he worked at the government in China, and he just hated how corrupt it was.
Yeah.
And he wanted to move to Canada, so he ended up moving here
That's crazy.
because he had the money and he had, but like it's just such a weird process. And even if like someone's not like fully moving to Canada, like they still like need their job or whatever in China, like what they'll do is they'll buy a Canadian house just to have Canadian assets, leave it empty, and just in case, like, because like their economy can topple if Xi Jinping does something stupid.
Yeah.
Right? Like with any authoritarian government, that could happen. As soon as the main head like does one fuck up, everyone's screwed. So
Yeah,
a lot of them just want
crazy.
Canadian assets, especially because like the Canadian bank system is like one of the best in the world. So like it's better than America's, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean we have also less banks in America.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
It's
in
more,
America, apparently they don't have e-transfer.
they don't have
Here in Canada,
they
we
only
do.
just got Tap like
They
last
just got
year.
they don't have Tap. They don't do e-transfers, and they just added Tap, which is insane because us Canadians, we've had Tap for maybe 5 years. I don't know.
5 years.
It's been a
like
while.
8 years, something
E-transfer, we don't have that many. We have Scotiabank, TD, RBC, Desjardins, BMO.
You said Scotia.
Royal
right?
Canadian Bank.
That's RBC.
I said that. There's less than 10 banks.
Yeah.
And to me, like, not being able to do
Because
e-transfers.
it's a lot more regulated
crazy.
by the government. That's why.
Oh, over there it's like corporate?
More corporate.
Corporate, yeah.
So that's why, you know how like in 2008 there was like the housing crisis in America. So what happened with that, if anyone just wasn't there or doesn't remember,
Or was born in 2008.
How the housing crisis how the housing crisis happened in America was like they would just like, I think interest rates were like falling so low that like that banks were like yo, like just fucking this person definitely cannot like pay this mortgage, but we're gonna give them the mortgage anyway.
Oh shit, okay.
So they did that on a wide scale, and like one bank would start doing it a little, and the other banks were like, oh, if they're doing it, they're smart, we'll do it too. And then it just ended up spiraling out of control to the point where like the entire economy crashed because like every American bank had all this projected revenue that was never gonna come because these people can't pay it.
Okay. So in Canada, it says 29 domestic banks, 24 foreign banks, but there's only 5 major banks.
Yeah.
So I guess it's the ones I named.
Yeah, RBC, BMO.
the Bank of
Scotia,
Montreal,
TD.
Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, the Bank of Nova Scotia, and Toronto Dominion Bank.
Yeah,
Those
TD is Toronto Dominion.
really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
they stand for things. You realize usually
but to me it's like
Scotiabank,
TD.
Nova Scotia.
Oh my god. What?
Why is this a crazy thing? What are the other ones?
Okay. Go. Royal Bank,
Yeah,
RBC, the
that's
Bank of
obvious.
Montreal, BMO,
Yeah,
Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce,
CIBC.
CIBC, the Bank of Nova Scotia,
Yeah,
Scotia Bank, and Toronto
Dominion.
Dominion
Yeah,
TD. Okay, so I named all of them but CIBC. And Desjardins is just a Quebec thing, I think.
Desjardins. It is just Quebec.
Yeah. Desjardins.
But what was I saying before about how? Yeah, I was saying like how the housing crisis, like it definitely affected Canada just because Canada's economy is very reliant on America.
Sadly.
But at the same time, like it still hit us much less hard as a whole because like there was more regulation when it came to mortgages for our banks.
I don't
Like-
remember. I was 6 years old.
Like the thing is like, oh, I don't remember exactly. I just rewatched like shit on
Oh,
it.
okay. You're bored. Let me watch about the crisis in 2008. I didn't. In school? Oh.
It's lagging again. Nice.
No, it's okay. Oh.
Oh, what? I just swept that.
You
Okay,
flipped
whatever.
it.
Did that? Oh, no, it
I'm
didn't help.
so confused now.
Whatever. We'll keep it flipped.
Yeah.
Fuck. What was I gonna say? Yeah, it hit us much less hard because of those regulations. Which I don't know how we got onto that topic.
Yeah,
in
me
the
either.
first-
We were talking about how fear failure. Oh, I was saying that the competition's bigger now, and it's harder to buy houses.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
There you go.
So that's why I talked about like China and shit. But yeah, it's like a huge ass problem
Huge
in
ass.
in like the major cities of Canada, like for Montreal, for example, because this is really the only housing market I know. Like we live here. There's
Don't tell them where we live.
it's a very vague. It's an island with a bunch of other things surrounding it. But like it used to be that like okay, so like an old like when I was growing up, a house like in the neighborhood we're in right now, where this house is in, a house in this neighborhood would have been like 300,000, 400,000, which is still a lot for the time.
No, but for now,
That's nothing.
Not
That's
at
nothing
all.
now.
And
And
now
now
it's probably 800K, something like that. No.
on the
Being-
lowest end, on
yeah,
the lowest end,
yeah.
it's 800K now for Kirkland. I just said that, but
Korea.
yeah, it's Korea. It's okay. A lot of places
Doesn't
are
matter,
named
there's,
that.
like, one
Actually,
person
there's a
watching.
lot of places named that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like in this neighborhood there's like it used to be
Something
like
strange.
300,000 up. And now it's more so like a mil up.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can probably check that out because I used to
Like
work for a company. that
we
did that.
resold our old house for like way too much than like over double what we got it for.
Yeah, the fluctuation is insane.
Yeah, which is just absolutely crazy, and that's like on
I
island.
think my parents also, we bought it 10 years ago and now it's almost double.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's off island, which like the whole city of Montreal, like you need to be like on island is where like the good quote unquote real estate is, in the sense that like you could actually get to your job most of the time.
Yeah.
And like people just want to live closer to their job and shit, be able to like not do as much of a commute and stuff, especially because we don't have the best public transport. And like, and then like now off island stuff is starting to like reach that mil plus territory,
Mm-hmm.
because like there's a neighborhood that's like off island by two islands.
Yeah. Okay.
And it literally like houses there used to be like a few years ago, it used to be like it's literally two
Wait, there's
islands
three
of-
islands. We have three islands. There's the big one. There's a
There's the
big
big
one,
one?
and there's a little one.
Okay, so Montreal, there's big one.
Yeah. Oh, the one on
There's-
top.
There's no, not the one on top.
the
one
west?
left.
Okay.
On the
Oh.
west.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So two islands over.
Yeah.
So you have to go through two bridges.
Yeah.
And this place has been developing like crazy. Like it used to be like houses were like, 200K, like 100K, and you'd get like a nice big house because it was off island and it was far from everything. So the real estate was very cheap, the land was very cheap, and like the stuff around it was very cheap. Now they've developed it so much that they're developing a part that's even farther. It's practically like just in between like Montreal and Ottawa, how far it is.
Oh shit. Okay.
And the houses there are mil plus.
That's insane. That is disgusting.
You literally have to drive like half an hour to get to the off island Costco, not even the one that's actually on island and has everything.
Shit. I mean, for example, where I live, which is like 30-40 minutes off the island, there's houses in my neighborhood. They're like 800,000.
Yeah, this is like 45 minutes, like an hour
that's
away.
insane.
Never mind with traffic.
I like how we started talking about houses when our subject's about the American dream. Oh no, it kind
that's
of makes
very,
sense.
That's very
Correlates. No, we're talking about failure. That's why.
Wait, let me see. if I can make this
Okay.
unlag.
That kind of talks also about the quarter life crisis,
Let's go.
but also like the fear of failure will make a lot of young people in their 20s be like, "Fuck, I'm never gonna succeed. I'm never gonna find my passion. I'm too late. I'm too late. I'm too late."
Mm-hmm.
It's just that pressure.
100%.
Yeah.
What else?
The next one, society slowly adjusting to atypical brains.
Oh yeah, this will just like put everything more on a positive note at the end, because it definitely is true that like although it's slow, it is very slow. Like society is adjusting in a lot of ways when it comes to that. And I had a couple of examples of that. I mean, the obvious one for everyone is working from home, right?
Yeah, but I feel like COVID pushed that a lot.
COVID 100% pushed that, but it also, because it was pushed by COVID, it pushed employers to understand that like some people just work better this way.
Yeah.
Some employers just want everyone back in the office, of course, but like there's a lot
Some
of
are
them.
giving the option.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when it comes to like a tech company or something,
Well, yeah.
or like a call center. You don't need to be in the call center.
Yeah.
You could call from your house.
When I was working for an insurance company, like there's the office, and some chose to go and some just stayed at home.
Exactly, yeah. And just like the workforce in general, just there's a lot more jobs available now and that are in demand that just like require like atypical brains to like be for you to be like very efficient at. And an easy example of that is streamers for me. And an easy like
True.
single streamer example is XQC, because this guy is full-blown unmasked ADHD. I've talked about him before on the podcast, of course, and he just plays into it like so much, in the sense that like he has like streamed so long that like he's fully like unmasked ADHD, and the fact that he's fully unmasked ADHD is just, it's easy to be like an energetic and entertaining person if you work with it well. Like as long as you're not doing like as long as you're not like burning yourself out on like what type of content you're making, because if you're like, if you have ADHD and you're just playing like World of Warcraft all day, even if you really like World of Warcraft, that's gonna burn you easily, because of how hyper focus works.
Yeah.
So it's really important for like someone who's a streamer and if they have AD, like it'll give them advantage if they have ADHD, and they could learn to play into their
Yeah,
hyper
that's true.
focus, and they could learn to bring down their mask as much as possible, because
Mm.
like because then you'll be like, you know, jumping from game to game when it's enjoyable. Like you'll get like an intuitive sense because of your own hyper focus,
Mhm.
like, hey, this is not gonna be entertaining anymore because it's kind of burning me a little.
Mhm.
And if it's burning like my ADHD ass, it's eventually gonna burn other people. So let's switch or whatever. Watch a YouTube video real
Yeah.
quick, because they'll always swap between all this different shit. Even if like they have a main game that they usually play,
Yeah.
they'll often, like, you know, react to stuff like every
Mhm.
couple hours or whatever, or like take a break to talk to chat or do like a little challenge or
Mhm.
something that's different from just like playing the same mode all day or whatever.
That's true. Yeah.
So like it's just a lot like easier with someone who manages like mental illness well
Mhm.
to be successful than someone who isn't mentally ill
Yeah.
on like a content creation kind of way.
Mhm.
When it comes to, even with like music and stuff, like it's definitely less so, because like with streamers and YouTubers, like 90% of them are mentally ill.
Yeah.
But like yeah, it's definitely like a superpower if you get to manage it well, and just, you know,
That's
grind in the
interesting.
way that works for you, and not just grinding at the same piece of
Facts.
stone. You grind on 10 pieces of stone, you know, like pick at the stone with a
Mhm.
pickaxe, and when you're bored with that stone, you pick another stone to pick at.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, exactly, because like the traditional, playing it back to the American dream, is, you know, you do that one job or that one task at your job, you know, you're let's
Kind of like how, Dr. K was explaining like the types of motivations,
hmm
how it's so different depending on the
yeah,
person.
exactly.
So,
Some people need that steadiness, some people
yeah.
need that flame or
Yeah.
whatever, and then there's like people who are like wind.
Need constant
Yeah,
change.
exactly, that's more like ADHD
Yeah.
style. And like it's funny because he, every time he, you know, will interview a streamer, he'll often talk about Ayurveda, which is what we're talking about here when it comes to like wind, fire, uh
Earth.
or earth. Yeah, that's like the types of personalities or types of motivation
Yeah.
styles. And I mean, if you have ADHD, you're practically guaranteed to be a wind
Yeah,
type.
exactly.
So, and all the streamers he's interviewed, like all of them, they're, when as soon as he explains wind type, he's like, oh, I'm I'm
Yeah.
that. But yeah, um,
That's
did you want to finish this, or did you have another
just a
example you wanted
Johnny
to
Depp
bring up?
trial.
Yeah, so that's more of
Yeah.
what we were talking about, sprinkling in current events, because we wanted to talk about this because we've all watched clips
Yeah, and
of the trial.
also the fact that I think yesterday Amber was like it was announced that she has BPD. She was diagnosed with BPD
I don't know if
from a
it was
psychologist.
announced there.
Yeah,
'Cause
but in the trial, like the psychologist was like
talking about it, yeah.
about it. And now like on Twitter or like on TikTok, whatever, like social media, people are like, yeah, it's hell living with someone with BPD, and like people with BPD are starting to get hate, but it's like you can't put everyone with BPD in the same box as Amber. We're not
Yeah,
gonna be
no.
cutting people's fingers, you know?
Yeah, so let me get into that because uh, the way Amber Heard's lawyer was interviewing that psychiatrist was just like, it was like, I know like you're a lawyer, you're kind of supposed to manipulate, but it was just such a manipulative way of questioning a
Mm-hmm.
psychiatrist. In my mind, like, it's very insulting to do that because you're discrediting like their
A
own work.
professional.
Yeah, you're discrediting their own work. And like this psychiatrist was um just just told to evaluate Amber. She evaluated Amber over 2 days, and a lot of the questions were like, um, do you recall uh her answering hi in like narcissism or whatever. That's not an actual example.
Yeah.
In like the actual mental evaluation when you're getting diagnosed, and the and the psychiatrist would be like, I do not recall, but I have sent the entire transcript over to the court, so we can just go over it and look. And she was just like, but do you recall? And she just didn't let her like look at the
Does she
transcripts.
not realize that like every time you have a therapy session, the therapist and psychologist, whatever, needs to go through the entire notes? Because after years or even months, there's so much. Obviously, you're not gonna
Yeah.
recall an event, a
Yeah.
specific event.
It's definitely like crazy that like it's even possible for a lawyer to like uh to like try to fuck up like in my mind, like I'm not even thinking of it from like the perspective of like the court. Like that's just kind of you're fucking up like the entire like practice of therapy in
Yeah.
that sense, because you're just like putting it on its head so much. And a lot of like what was really confusing me is that like the psychiatrist only evaluated Amber because like like it's kind of like a bias thing when you're someone's therapist or
Yeah.
whatever, that like you can't like treat like help treat someone that like they're antagonistic towards or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they had problems back then, and they knew like she wouldn't be allowed to like evaluate Johnny Depp because she already had that like patient like clinician
Okay.
like bias, right?
Yeah.
And she was like the psychiatrist was making this very clear to the lawyer that like, hey, like I'm like everything that I'm saying when it comes to this, it may be the truth in her mind or whatever. She's saying this to me, and I just have to accept it as the truth as her psychiatrist,
Yeah.
because like otherwise like she's not gonna get like the help I'm supposed to help her with. And and they were asking questions like like kind of asking like what the symptoms of like BPD were, and it would be the most vague shit like anxiety. Or and she's like, I think most mental illnesses can have anxiety. Yeah. and then and then uh and then like she would ask like it, is the ability to be quote unquote gaslit something that could happen to someone with BPD. And she's like, yes, but typically it's people who fit the female archetype of BPD who end up doing that, and not people of the male archetype, because she was insinuating that Johnny also had BPD. And that like he was gaslighting her into thinking she had BPD, even though Amber Heard had the medical
diagnosis.
and Johnny Depp never had one.
That's so weird.
Yeah, lawyers just confuse the shit out of me when it comes to that.
I'm shook. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's like, holy fuck. Do you even understand what
condition
your own client had? Yeah.
So like everyone's seeing what they're
whether or not what happens in there, people are gonna know that Amber's guilty. Like it's just so obvious from the questions from her lawyer, just like the
way they act too.
If you piece the way like Johnny has acted towards being questioned is very much like just a normal like person trying to defend themselves, and like being kind of reluctant to, because in reality he was the one that was gaslit by her all these years. That's why it like has taken so long for him to like actually go through everything, and everyone at the start assumed that he was the one abusing her.
That's crazy,
right? Like I remember a few years ago when like their whole conflict kind of came out initially, like people were on her side initially, and then when people online started like putting pieces together, they realized, wait, that's
kind of weird.
This is sus. Like that's like all of her behavior matches that of, and this was actually talked about by the psychiatrist, because within the evaluation, one of the evaluations, I don't know if it was for BPD or for, they were talking about some other like interpersonal something, like some kind of personality disorder that affects relationships. And like she like didn't get diagnosed with it, but there's a part of like the evaluation that tests if you're lying on the evaluation, and she got 90%, 98% of it.
Oh my god.
So that was pointed out while
Wow.
Amber Heard's lawyers were questioning the psychiatrist.
No.
So the lawyers just shot her in the foot, like shot themselves in the foot, like,
Yeah.
immediately with
Oh
that
my God,
question.
they're so stupid.
Like, do you really think like you're gonna, like, maybe like the like I get like the lawyers trying to like manipulate the jury more than anything, but like, do you really think you're gonna stump a psychiatrist and try to manipulate them with words? They're fucking psychiatrists. They study this.
They studied human behavior.
Yeah.
That's shooketh.
like she seemed like an obvious type of psychiatrist that has been like to courtrooms too. So like, do you really think they're gonna be like, they're gonna be on your side, like, when they're actually trying to do their job unbiased, right?
Good point.
And with the points that there was bias, she clearly pointed out, hey, there is bias here. like because like a lot of the questions were like, do you recall Amber Heard telling you that Johnny chopped off his own finger to intimidate her? Like, yes, I recall that, but that does not
mean it's true.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Sketch.
That's very sketch. And honestly, like, good on that psychiatrist to like push back on that, because like it is like very hard to like not have a bias towards your patient, even if they are very unstable.
Yeah.
So like she definitely just like was smart. Like, yeah.
She's smart. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
I'm good. I think we can end with this Johnny Depp trial.
Okay. Okay.
That's really lit.
Then. Peace, guys.
See you next time, guys.